Wednesday in Australia and Tuesday in the USA. And I have the wonderful Ann again. Her and I are partnering up and talking today about grab the attention of the divine customer. So, Anne, how are you today?
I am just fabulous. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Los Angeles. It's about 4 p.m. my time, and we're having a blast. I'm so happy to be with you again because it's always so much fun. And I love the way we brainstorm and share ideas. So, yes, another exciting time together.
And this topic is a bit of a fun one, I think. Well, it's certainly one
Mhm.
that's close to both our hearts. So,
Yes.
um, and I love the word divine customer. So, what would you like? I'd love to know what like your feelings are on divine customer. What does it mean for you?
Well, divine, you can take it two ways. To me, divine means from divinity, the one we're meant to serve, right? But people can say divine. Well, it's a divine customer. I really love them. Either way, whatever resonates with you, it's good. But for me, it's the customer that I am meant to serve. And so
Yeah.
it has a much deeper meaning for me. And also, that means we have quite a few things in common. So anything that's divine, it dives in deeper. So I'm very excited to actually get your thoughts on it and share my experience and see where this goes. It's going to be a fun one. Yes.
Well, I love, so for me, I love both analogies, both explanations, but for me, it is about the customer that is the most suitable for you
Mhm.
in the way that you can serve them the best so that
Yes.
they become the absolute divine customer. In other words, they can grow, they can develop, they can become a super fan, they can talk about you in a way that helps other people to see you, discover you. But at the same time, there's that mutual respect, and you can talk about them as well in a way that is revered. So the divine, right?
Oh, I
Um,
love that. I love that because as you were describing, I got this vision of a vine just growing, right? Bearing fruit. I just love that analogy.
well, now we can even say divine.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of play on words here. Yeah. How cool
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Very, very much. So, how do you go about finding your divine customer, and what does it mean for you, or what is
Okay.
your divine customer?
Yeah. So if we look at traditional way of identifying our ideal client, so there is the niche market, if you will, a lot of people that talk about where you get really specific on the demographics and such. Who are they? How old are they? Where are they? And things like that, right? As we all know, the niche, you can really drill down. Um,
Yes.
for me, though, the divine customer, I add a component of myself, if you will. I'll give you an example. To me, the divine customer is somebody that we have things in common with, right? And so, let's say an image consultant, right, who
Yeah.
wants to who wants to promote to women in health and wellness, let's say, because I'm so focused on health and wellness coaches right now, right? Because I want a lot of health and wellness for myself. But let's say, and health and wellness, right? So she can actually go and promote and do things like that. Of course, social media, all the different ways that we do. But what if we were to take a look at what is she passionate about? Like for example, here, let's say she likes to run marathons, right? And what if she likes to raise money? So there are a lot of women training here to raise money for breast cancer. So what if she was to join a women's network who's basically geared for health practitioners, let's say, right? And say, hey, I'm looking for 20 people to train with to raise money for breast cancer. We'll be training for the next 6 weeks or 12 weeks. Who wants to join me? So what's going to happen? She's going to have women who are committed to running, to raising money together, and they're passionate about the same thing. And also, they're going to be meeting once or twice a week or 3 times a week, whatever they decide, right? And so, what does that mean? That means you don't have to sell. You show up and you have a wonderful time. And if, as they are training, everybody starts talking. So they say, what do you do? What do you do? Everybody talks about it. And what if she was to say, well, I specialize in, uh, I'm an image consultant for women in a health and wellness industry, right? So they're going to ask some questions. She's going to give some tips. They're going to build relationships. To me, that's a divine customer because we get to do what we love to do with people who also have that in common. And it's joyous and it's fruitful. And we don't have to sell. It's magnetic. Anyway, so that's an example of how I would categorize a divine customer, doing something good at the same time.
That is absolutely amazing. I think you and I are pretty much on the same track with that. For me, when I'm looking for a divine customer, I am looking for somebody that's not just focused on their business and their work, but focused on how they can make a difference or a change in the world. And whether that change is just a small change, so for example, paying it back in some way, shape, or form, or a big change, kind of like a circular economy, where we believe we have the same value system, and
Yes.
we believe and support other business owners or other people in business or other people to grow them up into a position where they can make a difference. That for me is the absolute divine customer.
Yes, we are so aligned in that. And Juanita, it's really not that difficult to find a way of making a difference.
No.
Again, I'm in that conversation so much lately. And one of the easiest things that we can do to connect with our divine customer is actually offer a do good component within our business, like offering scholarships and maybe giving awards and things like that. So recognizing people for their accomplishments. So, like, for example, let's say I want you because you could be my divine customer, right? I can just market to you, or I can actually look up and say, oh my goodness, Juanita, you have done so much, with the social media conference and all the things you've done, the people you have featured, the good you have done. I want to give you an award for whatever it is. So that's a wonderful way to connect with our divine customer, to not only showcase their brilliance, the good that they have done, but also make that heart to heart connection of recognition. So I think all of us can do, from giving minor scholarships to awards to everything in between. So it's just it's just fun getting creative. Really, it really is.
So you're talking about acknowledge like some sort of acknowledgement of
Yes.
the divine customer. I think in and I think and for that, that's such a great idea for um for somebody to be raised up in that way. However, and I say however, there are some amazingly divine customers that I am so fully aware of that are doing amazing work outside of their business, but never want the recognition. Like they never want people to know about the amazing stuff that they're doing. And it is intriguing. So the people that they're doing it for know, but to shout it out on social media or anything like that, they don't like doing that. So what are your thoughts on that? How would you bring somebody over? Because I say shout it out on social media, and the only reason why I say that is because these are the words that they use to me. So they'll go, no, 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 I don't want to be out there. I don't want to shout out what I do on social media. And for me, it's very much about what you said, is the more you can show the good that you're doing, It's not about you as the divine customer. It's about the influence that you have on other people, because the more you can show what you're doing, the more it impacts other people, other customer or other business owners to do the same thing, or
Yes.
to at least twig or even to join your cause and help you. So it's not about hiding behind your shell when you're doing these amazing things, but it's also not about bragging and having an ego about it either. And I
Yeah.
think that's the big thing. I think a lot of people kind of, because there are people out there that do the brag, kind of a thing, that's how they relate the two. And
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts, Anne, on that.
Yeah, you brought up such a good point. It's about honoring people's preferences. So if somebody does not want to be showcased on social media, but that's okay. So the first thing is we reach out to them and say, in recognition of you doing this, this, and this, we want to acknowledge you, and there is an award for you. And so that's, it could be very quiet. You can send them, an accomplishment or a gift of some sort or something like that. And then say, would you be interested in being interviewed? Would you be interested? Or maybe they can just be a guest expert at our closed group or member interviews, member trainings of
Yeah.
such, right? So they can be a guest, to share how they've done it. And I have found that when we approach somebody, so for example, Juanita, if I say to you, I love what you're doing, the difference you're making, I would love for you to be a speaker and share your mindset with our people, because I think a lot of them would be inspired by you and they would want to go and do good within their industry or within their community. Now, anybody who is committed to doing good is going to say yes to that, right? But we don't have to necessarily put them on social media. We don't have to put them in commercials. But so I think if we honor people's choices and give them maybe two or three choices, I think that would be okay, and so I'm going to try that. Usually I don't give two or three choices, but you brought up a great point. And so we have to think about that. The awards coming up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and how would you? I'd love to know how you go about finding your divine customer. What are the steps that you normally take to find a divine customer?
Okay. So you're talking about the divine customer, the high end, the ultimate customer, right?
Yeah,
Now, for me, actually, it's been the same for many, many years because we've been training experts to be interviewed on network TV. So we're always looking for guest experts to interview. So it's quite easy, and now all of us can do actually because all of us are on social media. All of us can reach out and say, "Love what you're doing. I would love to interview you." And whether it's a network TV show or a show on social media, people will say yes to if it's the right way, if it's the right fit for them. So that's what I do. I'll look and see who's aligned with what I'm doing. If they're a fit for what we're doing, they can
yeah,
either become a customer to produce their TV show, or they can become a collaborative partner, because chances are if they're an expert, which is we're always looking at coaches, speakers, authors, and consultants, right? And so they're already experts and they would love to be interviewed. So it's a really easy reach to see if they're interested in becoming a customer, but at the very least they will provide great content, for our people. So that's how I reach out to people. And you and I kind of connected that way. I was looking to learn from you on marketing on LinkedIn, but also I said, hey, at the very least I'd like to do an interview, which will be added value. So it's a great way to connect and then see what happens. And in our case, we became collaborative partners. And so as long as you're open to the win-win-win, if you will, what's best for the two of you, but ultimately we want to think about what's best for our mutual customers, which are mutual clients. And so when that happens, then it just takes a life of its own, if you will. In our case, we decided we want to help the same client. And so we became collaborative partners as opposed to each other's customers, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I love that, and that you said the win-win-win, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is, right? It's that win-win-win.
Yeah.
For me, if I get a bit granular for everyone and just go down a little bit into the ops side of things, especially from a social media perspective. So, how do you find your divine customer on social media from that perspective? And for me, there's so many different ways that you can do it. But the first thing is you have to take a step back and look at yourself and look at how you are showing up first and foremost, and how you're showing up to your divine customer. In other words, when they look at you, do they want to work with you? Are you showing up in a way that is not, we can banter the word around authentic and everything else, right? But the reality is that you show up in a certain way that attracts that divine customer to you. So if you're showing up in a way that you're not really talking about the things that you're doing from a helping other people perspective. How do they know that? How do they know whether you do or don't? And there's so many different ways that you can do it. So showing up in a certain way for your divine customer, but just showing up and being consistent with the things that you talk about. That's so important. And then, of course, once you're doing that, it's a very much about reaching out, and hopefully you building a profile of influence that those people are watching you, seeing you, and they reach out to you. And that can take a bit of time. In social media, somebody's not going to just jump on and go, rah, rah, I love you. I saw you today and you're amazing. No, no, no. They're going to watch you a few times and then go, yes, this is the person that I want to talk to, or this is the person that I'd like to work with. Um, of course, if there's a component of a what's in it for me for them, in other words, they can be interviewed, then people will jump on that pretty quickly. And that's a really good strategy. But it is that lovely win-win-win. So that's just a granular level for me. And what about you? I'd love you to talk about Clubhouse. How
Yeah,
you
well, besides, you made such a good point. I want to dive in there a little bit more. Okay. So I was talking about reaching out one-on-one connections, which happens to be, I just love that, right? Making a one-on-one connection. But what you were talking about, Juanita, is on showing up on social media. Now I have to say that's not my strong suit, right? As you know, that's why I wanted to work with you to put together the system where I am consistently showing up on social media. And so it's really important to show up. Now, having said that, I said, okay, how can I make sure I'm consistently showing up? And so what I did was, you and I are doing weekly, and I have actually set up to do another weekly with somebody else. So if you're not showing up on your own, team up with somebody else. So in other words, collaboration and accountability always works, right? So I'm committed to being consistent on social media. And right now we're broadcasting on many different platforms. I know for mine, we're on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. And I'm also on, I don't know, some of those, and you were on a bunch of different ones too. So right
yeah.
now, because the two of us are connecting, we're on many different platforms. So that's showing up on social media. If you're not a social media butterfly, there is still hope for us, okay? There is hope for us. Follow Juanita. She's the social media strategy queen, right? So I'm learning from the best, but that's what I would say. And so you were talking about Clubhouse. Now, I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'm very excited about LinkedIn bringing up social audio, because here's what I've learned being on Clubhouse, that somehow when we seem to be on audio, we seem to be a lot more comfortable to begin with. And
Yeah.
then we do get comfortable on camera, as you and I are. I mean, we're just having a blast talking. But some people, they're a little bit more comfortable on social audio. Well, if that's your comfort zone, that's fine. But here's the thing about Clubhouse that I love. We can see the same person in many different environments, so you get to actually hear their authenticity. You can feel it because they're just showing up. They're more comfortable. And so just like we kind of follow people on any social media platform, Clubhouse, it's more concentrated, right? Anyway, so that's it's one of my favorite platforms. Well, that's where you and I met, but it's just one of my favorite platforms. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse and why social audio seems to work so well?
I love Clubhouse, but I actually love all the social audio at the moment. Twitter Spaces is doing really well as well. And yeah, I can't wait for LinkedIn audio to roll out as well. But there are so many audio apps, and I think why people feel more comfortable is because there's not this face-to-face interaction. So
Yeah.
there's not the pressure to look good or to show up. And actually, I can tell you the number of times where I've gone on Clubhouse because I run various rooms on Clubhouse with amazing people. So I have the Ladies of LinkedIn room, and I have the Mod Squad room, and it's incredible because all those rooms happen very late for me, Australian time. So they're moving into my bedtime, and at that point, all my makeup is off. I'm in my pajamas. I've had my dinner, and I'm kind of just winding down. And so it's awesome to be sitting there in my pajamas with my hair all brushed, my makeup off, and just relaxing and talking. So it becomes a lot more relaxed, I think, because you know that
Yes.
people are not watching you. But
Yes.
in and and in saying that, we might say to people, well, then why don't you do that in video? Well, that's not the impression that I want to create. I don't want to be that private,
Yeah.
not personal, but private, that I allow somebody to come into my home and see me in my pajamas.
I could see that.
But you don't know that when I'm an audio app, right? So you don't
Yeah.
know that. So, and I think that's the difference between the two. Somebody was saying, Clubhouse should definitely add video to the audio, and I was going, oh God, no, don't, because that is the unique selling point of the audio apps, is that you don't have to come on through video,
Yeah.
connect with your customer. But the beauty of it is you really have to know your stuff, because when you're on audio, you only get so much time or so much that you can say before people listen to you and go, this woman is really amazing and she knows what she's talking about, or God, this person's an idiot. They're waffling and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're just on there trying to disrupt, or
Yeah.
trying to, show off something that is not there. And again, it's also a way, because you're using your voice to connect with your divine customer. And and so your words are the main thing. The words that you use are incredibly important, and how you use them. And that for me is the difference between, the for the audio, the social audio platforms, is how
Yes. No,
you use your
you
words.
you brought up such an important point. Now we talked about how to connect with your divine customer with things that are special to you both. But before we get to the divine customer point, you do need to know who you're talking with. You do need to know who you're sharing information with. So is it a man? Is it a woman? Why is that important? Because when we are sharing stories, like I could share a story if I'm looking to attract women. I could share a story about, let's say, my client, Sue, let's say, right? She was interested in this. She wanted to create videos, but she was scared. And then we looked at the reluctant celebrity syndrome kind of thing. So I can actually describe Sue or Susan or Margaret, whoever it may be, but we can actually describe who they are. Well, let's say she's a corporate executive, or she just started a brand new business because COVID forced her to start a business, and she was scared to get on camera. She didn't feel comfortable, and she didn't know what to say. And so as we're describing why we're working with that customer, why we're supporting that particular client, then as we're describing them, who are they, what's important to them, what were their fears, what did they want, the story really needs to connect. All the points come together, and that story will connect with the people who are listening. So we want to strategically choose stories to connect with the people we most want to attract. So if you really want to attract women who are single moms, you say, my client Debbie, who's a single mom, she was having a hard time finding time to do dot dot dot. So when you start describing, then the person says, oh, she works with people like me. She must know how to take care of me. And that's a really good point to start with. And yeah, so knowing who you're talking to, knowing who you're talking about, what do they have in common? It's a really, really important point that you brought up. Yes. So that's wonderful, Juanita. Yeah.
Love, love, love that. And so we are definitely, I think we're hitting the end of our wonderful session here on the Divine Customer. If any of you want to know more about the Divine Customer, definitely reach out to Anne or I, and we're happy to talk to you about it. We are going to be running a workshop. It's a paid workshop that we are going to be running in June. And if you are interested in that, I'm going to pop up the link of Anne's website. That's where you're going to find it. So it's the accesstoexperts.com. And if you go there, and where would they go on the website?
Well, they can actually go into master classes, and yes, if they go to forward/slash master, just you'll find the master classes in the menu bar, and then you will see actually a workshop that Juanita and I already have up there. But those of you who are really interested in marketing, we're cooking up something super special on how to promote your online program. And so, just so you know, we're all about getting everything ready for you to get out there in a big way. So, how do you show up on LinkedIn as an influencer? How do you promote your products? That's what we're all about. So, when you join us every week, you're going to be hearing topics related to those two. That we're just enjoying sharing this information with you. So if you go to, again, accesstoexperts.com, as you see there, and then just look on the menu, master classes, then you'll be able to connect.
Awesome. And for all of you that are listening here, please pop into the comments where you're from so that we can connect with you and say hi. And then, of course, anybody that wants to join the training program. Oh, excuse me, the training program. Go out there. See, that's an online thing. The training program. Go on there and do it. I'm having my coffee. And then, of course, everyone that is absolutely wants to listen to Anne and I on a weekly basis, sharing valuable information for you, please come on. We're on, I'm a Thursday at 9 a.m. Brisbane time, which makes it right now 11 a.m. in New Zealand time. And then, of course, I know that those of you in Europe, this is a bit of a late time for you, but I hope that you catch the replay. If you do, hashtag replay. And then, of course, for Anne, as she said to you, it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon, right, Anne? So
Yeah, now it's 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon in sunny Los Angeles.
yeah, and I think PST makes it about 7 p.m. Is that right?
No, Pacific time is 4 p.m. Eastern time. Eastern, that would be New York time. New York time would be about 7 p.m. Yes.
Awesome. So come and catch us, come and listen to us, and we are more than happy to help you. And with that said, and we are going to close our live on the
Yes.
grabbing the attention of the divine customer. I hope you learned a lot. And thank you everyone for joining. And
Yes, thank you. And as always, I so appreciate you and all of you who are joining us. And we're looking for your comments. And see you next week.
see ya. Bye. Bye.
Bye.